Hello and welcome to all the chosen heroes who are still standing. You've felt their stares, heard their whispers, and seen the unease in their eyes when you walk into the room. They call you names, spin tales, and twist the truth to explain what they cannot comprehend. To them, your strength is unnatural, your resilience impossible. They expected you to falter, to crumble under the weight of their judgment, but instead you rose, unshaken, unyielding. They fear what they cannot control, and so they invent shadows where there are none, conjuring stories of dark forces to justify their own shortcomings. But you owe them no explanation. Your power is not borrowed, it is earned. It is the fire within you, forged through trials they could never endure. Let them talk, let them wonder. Their disbelief is not your burden. You are beyond their reach, untouchable, and their fear is only proof of the power they tried and failed to suppress. They built their world on lies, on the belief that power must be stolen, that strength must be taken at the expense of others. To them, success is a game of manipulation, a web of control where every move is calculated, every action designed to dominate. So when you rose, unshaken, unbothered, and untouched by their schemes, they didn't know what to do. You defied their rules, their logic, their very understanding of how the world works. They thought they were the puppet masters, pulling strings you couldn't see, but you were never a puppet. You were never even in their game. Your power doesn't come from their world. It comes from within, from a place they can't reach, can't corrupt, and can't comprehend. And that terrifies them, because for all their plotting, for all their control, they've realized the truth. You don't need their approval, their system, or their games. You've already won simply by refusing to play. Every trap they set became their own undoing. Every shadow they cast swallowed them whole. The harder they tried to break you, the faster their own world unraveled. They whispered lies, wove curses, and plotted in secret, but none of it could touch you. Instead, it all returned to them tenfold, leaving them tangled in the chaos they created. Now they watch you with wide eyes and trembling hands, searching for the source of your strength. They imagine hidden rituals, ancient secrets, or forbidden powers, desperate to explain what they cannot comprehend. But your power isn't something they can name, copy, or steal. It's not bound by their rules or limited by their understanding. It flows from a place they will never reach, a force they will never grasp. And that's what scares them most, not just that they failed, but that you were never vulnerable to their games in the first place. The truth they refuse to face is that it was never you. They were fighting against the very balance of the universe, a force that does not tolerate injustice or cruelty. The ancestors who walk with you, the divine energy that shields you, and the unshakable foundation of your spirit, all of it turned their own darkness back on them. Now they sit in the shadows, consumed by their own fears, their own guilt, their own chaos. They see shadows where there are none, hear whispers in the silence, and feel the weight of something they cannot name pressing down on them. They think it's you, but it's not. It's the echo of their own actions, the consequence of their own choices, the reckoning they brought upon themselves. You don't have to lift a finger. The universe is already working in your favor, and they are left to face the storm they created. You were never meant to break free, but the weight of their lies became impossible to carry. The illusions they spun so carefully began to fray, unraveling thread by thread as your awareness grew. What they didn't anticipate was your ability to see beyond the surface, to feel the truth in the spaces between their words, to recognize the darkness they tried to hide. Their control was always fragile, built on the shaky foundation of deceit, and the moment you stopped playing along, it all began to collapse. They thought they held the power, but it was an illusion, just like everything else they created. Now they're left to face the reality they tried to keep from you, while you rise above it all, untouched, unbroken, and more powerful than they ever imagined. You didn't just uncover their lies, you dismantled the very foundation of their illusions. It wasn't their words that gave them away, but the energy they couldn't conceal, the cracks in their facade that only you could see. They thought they were safe behind their masks, but your intuition pierced through every layer of deceit, leaving them exposed and vulnerable. Now they scramble in silence, desperate to understand how you see so clearly, how you know so deeply. They fear your wisdom, not because it's loud, but because it's undeniable. You don't need their explanations, their excuses, their attempts to justify the unjustifiable. The truth radiates from them like a shadow they can't escape, a weight they can't hide. They thought you were blind, but now they realize you were always watching, always knowing, always protected by something far greater than they could ever comprehend. They underestimated the power of your stillness, the strength in your silence. They thought they could bait you, provoke you, pull you back into their web of control, but every subtle jab, every calculated move is met with your unshakable calm. They don't realize that your silence is not weakness. It's a statement, a boundary, a refusal to engage in their chaos. The whispers of your ancestors, the guidance of the Most High, have taught you that true power doesn't need to react or prove itself. It simply exists, untouchable and undeniable. The more they scramble, the more their own insecurities are revealed. They are fighting a battle you've already won, and your refusal to play their game leaves them lost, unraveling under the weight of their own illusions. Your detachment is their undoing. They can't comprehend how someone could hold so much power in silence, how you can simply let go while their world unravels. The more they search for answers, the more they realize they're not in control. Their paranoia grows, feeding on itself as they question everything they thought they knew. They wonder if it's fate, if it's divine intervention, if it's the unseen forces that walk with you. But deep down, they know the truth. It was never about what you had to do, but who you are. Your strength lies in your ability to rise above, to trust the natural order of things, to let the energy they sent out return to them tenfold. They wanted you to fight, to stoop to their level, but instead, you chose peace. And that peace is louder than any revenge could ever be. It's a reminder that their power was always an illusion, and now they're left to face the consequences of their own creation. The weight of their own actions has become unbearable, a shadow they cannot escape. They feel eyes on them everywhere they go, not realizing it's their own guilt staring back at them. The whispers they hear in the silence, the unease that creeps into their dreams, it's not you, it's the truth they tried to bury clawing its way to the surface. They thought they could control the narrative, twist reality to suit their desires, but the energy they unleashed has turned against them. You don't need to intervene. The universe has already taken over. The lies they spoke now echo in their own minds, louder and louder, until they can no longer find peace. The darkness they sent your way has become their own shadow, and no matter how far they run, it follows. Their greatest fear isn't that you're watching, it's that they're finally being seen for who they truly are. And in the end, it's not you they fear most, but the unstoppable force of justice that was always destined to find them. They didn't just underestimate you, they underestimated the forces that stand with you. With every move they made, they revealed their own weakness, their desperation, their inability to see the strength that comes from within. They thought their lies would confuse you, but your clarity only grew sharper. They thought their manipulation would bend you, but you stood even taller. They thought their spiritual attacks would destroy you, but instead, they collided with the unshakable shield of divine protection surrounding you. Every step they took against you only led them closer to their own downfall, as if the universe itself was redirecting their energy back toward them. They thought they were playing a game they had already won, but they never realized you were never playing at all. You were simply being, and that was more powerful than anything they could have ever imagined. They spiraled deeper into their own confusion, grasping at anything that could explain the unexplainable. Every failed attempt, every shattered illusion, only tightened the grip of fear around their hearts. They became obsessed, convinced there had to be a secret, a hidden force they could uncover and dismantle. But what they couldn't understand was that your power wasn't something external. It was within you, woven into your very being. It wasn't dark magic or manipulation. It was light, pure and unshakable, a connection to something far greater than they could ever fathom. Their desperation blinded them to the truth. The more they fought against you, the more they unraveled themselves. And as they searched for answers in the shadows, they failed to see that the light surrounding you was not just protection. It was a reflection of everything they could never destroy. They clung to their fabricated stories, desperate to rationalize what their minds couldn't grasp. To them, power was something transactional, something that had to be taken or bargained for. The idea of divine favor, of a light so pure it required no rituals or manipulation, was beyond their comprehension. They couldn't accept that your strength came from your alignment with truth, with purpose, with forces far greater than their schemes. So they twisted the narrative again, claiming you must be dabbling in darkness, because how else could you remain untouchable? They refused to see that your power wasn't hidden in shadows, but radiated openly, a testament to the grace that shields you. Their disbelief wasn't truly in you. It was in the possibility of a force so good, so unyielding, that no amount of their plotting could ever overcome it. Deep down, the weight of the truth pressed heavily on their hearts, a truth they could neither escape nor deny. They had spent their lives mastering control, bending the unseen forces of the world to serve their selfish ends. Yet, when they looked at you, they saw something they could never replicate. Your strength wasn't forged through struggle or deceit. It was effortless, eternal, and unshakable. It wasn't something you crafted, it was something you were. The realization cut deeper than any weapon, for it exposed the futility of their efforts. You didn't need to manipulate energy or twist fate, because your path had been blessed long before they ever entered your story. And that truth, as undeniable as the rising sun, was their greatest torment. The harder they fought, the deeper they sank into the chaos of their own making. Every move they made was like quicksand, pulling them further into despair. The forces they once commanded with arrogance now mocked their desperation, their pleas met with silence or, worse, with retaliation. The shadows they summoned no longer obeyed, but instead loomed over them, feeding on their fear. Their own darkness became their prison, each plot unraveling into a new layer of torment. They couldn't escape the whispers, the cold presence that clung to them, reminding them of every misdeed, every malicious intent. It wasn't you they were battling anymore. It was the weight of their own actions, the inescapable truth that no power they wielded could overcome the light that shielded you. They had built their empire on illusions, believing they could rewrite the fabric of existence to suit their will. But the threads they pulled unraveled faster than they could weave them back together. Their arrogance blinded them to the truth. No one stands above the natural order. No one outruns the balance of creation. The universe, vast and unyielding, does not forget. It watches, it waits, and when the time comes, it restores what was broken. Their war wasn't with you. It was with the eternal laws that govern all things. And as their world collapsed, they were forced to face the one truth they had always denied. Power born of deceit is never power at all. Chosen ones, pause for a moment and take action. Subscribe to the channel and share this message with those who need it, for this is your awakening call. Within you lies an energy so profound, it defies limitation and radiates beyond the boundaries of the ordinary. You are not a coincidence. You are a deliberate creation, chosen to embody the change the world so desperately seeks. Your essence is a catalyst, a spark that sets the wheels of transformation in motion. The universe placed its trust in you because it knows you possess the strength to turn vision into reality, to turn hope into action. You are the calm in chaos, the flame that refuses to be extinguished, a reminder that authenticity is the most powerful force of all. Each step you take with purpose sends waves of inspiration rippling through the fabric of existence. The time to hesitate is gone. This is your moment to embrace your role as a harbinger of light, a warrior of truth. The universe moves with you, aligning every star in your favor because you dared to rise, to believe, to become. Shine now, brighter than ever. The world is ready for the revolution only you can bring. The unease grows, seeping into every corner of their existence. It's no longer just the shadows or the whispers, it's in the very air they breathe, the rhythm of their heartbeat, the weight of their own thoughts. The presence feels closer now, no longer lingering at the edges but pressing in, suffocating. Mirrors seem to ripple as if something watches from the other side, waiting for the right moment to step through. Doors creak open without reason, and the chill in the air is no longer subtle. It wraps around them like a predator stalking its prey. They try to dismiss it, to rationalize the impossible, but deep down they know. The darkness they once wielded has grown sentient, untamed, and it's no longer content to be their tool. It's alive, and it wants something they can't give, something they can't escape. The realization creeps in slowly, like a rising tide they can no longer hold back. They had spent so long believing they were untouchable, masters of the unseen, bending forces beyond comprehension to their will. But now, those same forces have turned, and there is no escape. The whispers grow louder, not from others but from within, their own thoughts betraying them. The energy they once commanded has become a storm, wild and vengeful, circling back to its source. It isn't you, and it isn't revenge. It's balance, the inevitable reckoning they ignored for too long. The darkness they unleashed has returned home, not as a servant, but as their judge. Fear consumes them now, not of you, but of the truth they can no longer deny. They were never in control. The weight of their own intentions crushes them now, heavier with every passing moment. What they sent out into the world has found its way back, amplified, relentless, and unyielding. Every curse whispered in the dark, every malice-filled thought, every shadow they cast upon you now looms over them, suffocating and inescapable. The universe doesn't forget. It doesn't lose track of debts owed. Their cries for mercy are met with silence, for this is not punishment. It's the balance they refuse to believe in. They thought they could outrun the consequences, but the truth is clear. The darkness they wielded never belonged to them. It was only borrowed, and now it demands its price. The fear consumes them now, a constant companion they cannot shake. Every flicker of light, every brush of wind feels like a warning, a reminder that the forces they once commanded have abandoned them. They don't understand why their world is unraveling, why the power they clung to so desperately has turned against them. In their paranoia, they see you in every shadow, hear your name in every whisper, convinced you've summoned something greater than them. But the truth is far simpler and far more terrifying. This isn't your doing. It's the collapse of their own illusions, the weight of their control crumbling into nothingness. They were never as powerful as they believed, and now, stripped of their facade, they are left with only the fear of what they've become. You stand unwavering, untouched by the chaos they tried to weave around you. Your strength isn't borrowed, nor is it conjured. It simply is. They can't understand how you remain so steady, so untouchable, as their own world crumbles. Their desperation grows with every failed attempt to pull you down, every lie that falls flat, every scheme that collapses under its own weight. They tell themselves there must be something unnatural about you, some unseen force shielding you, because the truth is too much for them to bear. What terrifies them most isn't your power, it's your peace. It's the way you move through their storms as if they were nothing but whispers in the wind. They can't comprehend that your strength comes from within, that your protection was never something external, it was always you. The lies grow louder, but the truth remains unshaken. They weave their stories, desperate to convince others and themselves that you are the threat, not the reflection of their own failure. They cling to the idea that you must be dangerous, that your strength must come from something unnatural, because the alternative is too painful to face. To admit that you are protected, that your light is untouchable, would mean admitting their own power was an illusion all along. So they whisper, they accuse, they twist the narrative, hoping to tarnish what they cannot destroy. But deep down, they know the truth. No matter how many seeds of doubt they plant, they cannot uproot what is divinely rooted. What is yours will always remain yours, untouched by their hands, untarnished by their words. Their attempts to rewrite the past are as transparent as the insincerity in their eyes. The words they speak, laced with forced sweetness, ring hollow, unable to disguise the lingering shadows of their intentions. "I've changed," they say, but the energy betrays them, a strange mix of desperation and calculation. They stretch their smiles too wide, their apologies too rehearsed, hoping you'll let your guard down. But you feel it, that subtle unease, that quiet warning humming in your spirit. They aren't here to heal, they're here to regain what they lost, to reclaim the access they once had to your light. Yet, no matter how soft their words or how wide their smiles, you remain unmoved. You know better now. You've seen what lies beneath, and no facade can hide the truth from you anymore. They linger on the edges of your light, drawn to its warmth, yet unable to claim it as their own. Their intentions are cloaked in false kindness, but you can feel the weight of their envy pressing against your spirit. They watch you closely, searching for a weakness, a moment of vulnerability to exploit. But what they fail to understand is that your strength doesn't come from the surface. It's rooted deep, unshakable, untouchable. They think being near you will shield them from the consequences of their actions, that your energy will somehow absolve them. But they don't realize the truth. The same force that protects you, that lifts you higher, will expose them, burn away their masks, and leave them face to face with the shadows they've tried so hard to outrun. Their attempts to mask their unraveling only make it more obvious. The harder they try to twist the narrative, the clearer the truth becomes to everyone around them. Their chaos, their instability, their desperation, it's all on full display. They've spent so long believing that power is something to be seized, controlled, or manipulated that they can't comprehend the quiet strength within you. They don't understand that true power isn't loud or forceful. It doesn't need to dominate or deceive. Real power flows naturally, effortlessly, from a place of authenticity and alignment. You never needed to prove yourself or take from others. It was always within you, steady and unshakable. And now, as their illusions crumble, the contrast between their instability and your calm presence becomes undeniable. You are a living testament to grace, a reflection of what it means to walk in alignment with something greater than yourself. They cannot fathom how you move so effortlessly, how you know without seeking, how you rise without climbing over others. They are bound by the limits of their own understanding, trapped in a world where power is something to be stolen, not something to be entrusted. But your strength is not their kind of strength. It was never born from desperation or deceit. It was gifted, nurtured, and refined through the trials of those who came before you. You are the culmination of prayers, the fulfillment of promises, the embodiment of faith. They search for cracks in your foundation because they cannot believe it is unshakable. But what they fail to see is that your power doesn't come from the ground they walk on. It comes from the heavens above, from a source they cannot touch, cannot take, and will never understand. You move with a certainty that shakes them to their core, a quiet confidence that doesn't need to shout or prove itself. They've built their lives on illusions, on fragile foundations of control and deceit, and they cannot comprehend how someone can stand so firmly without resorting to the same. But your power is rooted in truth, in something eternal, something they can neither touch nor corrupt. It isn't fleeting or conditional. It doesn't waver in the face of their schemes. And that terrifies them. They realize now that no matter how hard they try, no matter how much they take or manipulate, they will never hold what you hold. Your strength doesn't come from the world they know. It comes from a higher place, a divine source that requires no validation, no explanation. You don't need their understanding, and that's what leaves them powerless. Let them watch, let them wonder, Let them drown in the stories they create to make sense of what they cannot grasp. Their whispers are nothing more than echoes of their own insecurities, their fears a mirror of the limitations they've placed on themselves. You are not here to explain, to justify, or to soften your light to make them comfortable. You are here to rise, to pave the way through uncharted territory, to break the chains that have bound generations. They cannot see the full picture, cannot fathom the magnitude of what is unfolding, but that is not your concern. You are walking in purpose, guided by something far greater than their opinions or fears. Let them misunderstand. You are not here to be understood. You are here to transform, to elevate, to fulfill a destiny that was written long before they ever spoke your name. You rose from the ashes they thought would bury you, stronger, freer, and more certain than ever. They wanted you to doubt, to falter, to shrink under the weight of their projections, but instead, you expanded. Your light grew brighter, your voice steadier, your presence undeniable. Their attempts to confine you only revealed the vastness of your spirit. They see now what they could never become, not because they weren't capable, but because they weren't willing. You faced the fire they feared, embraced the truth they avoided, and emerged unshaken. Let them wonder, let them speculate, let them cling to their illusions. You owe them no explanations, no reassurances, no space in your story. You are untouchable because you are aligned, because you walk with unwavering faith, because your power is rooted in something eternal. Their words, their fears, their doubts, they are nothing but whispers in the wind, unable to reach the heights you now soar. Stay centered, chosen one, for their noise is only a distraction, a desperate attempt to pull you from the path they cannot walk. Let them talk, let them twist, let them project their fears onto you. It changes nothing. Their words are powerless against the truth you carry, the light you embody, the purpose that fuels your every step. You owe them no response, no justification, no acknowledgement. Keep ascending, keep trusting, keep aligning with the divine wisdom that guides you. Their fear is not your burden, their darkness is not your concern. They fear what they cannot control, what they cannot diminish, what they cannot understand. But their fear is not of you, it is of the reflection of their own inadequacies. And still, your light will shine, unwavering, unshaken, illuminating the path forward. Let them watch, let them wonder, let them wrestle with their own shadows. You are untouchable, unstoppable, because you walk with purpose, and no darkness can ever dim your light.